and he just looks like a little goofball, which we know he is. We know Jarrett now. We didn't know it before, but he's a little bit of a goofball.
Yep.
Right? So I was like, no, we didn't. The goofball kid that I saw, that's who we drafted. But then in the playoffs, when like everybody seems to think Embiid is the tough guy because he's 60 pounds heavier, he's at least 5 years older, 4 or 5 years older, has all his man weight on him. And he elbows a guy that he's probably 100 pounds bigger. Like, that doesn't make you the hero.
Yep.
Jarrett Allen took that elbow and got back up. He was ready to go if it wasn't for his nose bleeding. And then he went right back in the game, and he went on, and Kenny Atkinson sent him on a suicide mission to guard Joel Embiid. And you're talking about guards people like Al Horford, who's getting help from, other bigs, not doing it alone, but they're saying Al Horford is a defensive MVP. Jarrett Allen had to guard these monstrous bigs with other bigs setting picks on him.
Yep.
They were calling plays against the Nets' stupid ass defense when bigs are setting picks in the post, which is an unheard of thing, but that's what was happening. I think it was against the Wizards. I forgot who their big man was. Some crappy kid that came from the D League, from the G League, and he was busting our ass. And the reason why was because they were just running this little play where the 4 and the 5 was just playing give and go against Jarrett Allen playing in the post by himself with fucking Taurean Prince. It doesn't make sense what we're doing. And and now it's like you have this kid that's shown all this fight, that has blocked every superstar shot. He's gotten Giannis several times. He's gotten Braun. Braun doesn't try to dunk around Jarrett Allen anymore. He knows what time it is. And now we want to trade him and Karis LeVert and Spencer Dinwiddie for James Harden? That's the logical thing? Nets Nation? New York City? That's what's smart. That's the prudent thing to do. Then we're capped out. Not just capped out, hard capped out. Right? You've traded all of that. You're now hard capped out. You now have to see heavy minutes of Chioza when Kyrie is load managed. How is this the plan?
Yeah, I mean, look, as it pertains to the Harden thing, the only way the Harden thing could work from a roster perspective beyond and I mean, what I'm about to say is stupid because I'm saying beyond how the three of them mesh together. So let's assume that's okay. The only way the rest of the roster works out is if you basically get ring chasing guys who are actually good, who are willing to go on the vet minimum. But the only issue is that it doesn't seem like anyone likes playing with Harden, and Kyrie's had issues. So I don't really know how. I mean, it's not people joining LeBron and Wade and Bosh, like three well liked guys. So I think that's another risk that's going on. I mean, look.
Here's my biggest argument against Harden. He's fat boy.
Okay? Yeah, he's. I mean,
right?
Look, but it's also hard because the bubble. I'm pretty sure he was coming off Corona, and he also just generally looked so out of shape. So,
that's not my thing with it. Please let me rant for a second about this. I'm known as one of the few defenders of Deron Williams because I believe that teams shouldn't break their players, right? The Nets, I don't know what you call it, development staff, you know, trainers, whatever it's called. What they had before was horrendous. They basically just had like an old chubby guy with a medicine ball. They would throw it around, and he'd rub some tussin on it whenever somebody got hurt. And we broke Darren Williams. But Darren Williams, that's 30% goes to the team. Here's where it's Darren Williams' fault. Darren Williams is formerly fat. And formerly fat players, around the time they get close to 30, their lower extremities start to break down. Because of all of that pressure of being fat and contorting your body and turning in the torque that you're putting on your ligaments. It can't be good. Now, granted, he doesn't look like it, but Harden is a LeBron-esque type of person where he's just a freak of nature on what he's able to do with that body. Like, that's Harden obviously's got tree trunks for legs, right?
Yep.
But regardless, the risk outweigh the opportunity. If he goes bad, you're paying him $47 million in his oldest year.
Yep.
And then you're paying him $44 million the year after this one. This is insanity how badly this could go wrong. Like,
yeah, no, I mean, look, he's already said, it's funny, I was listening to Bomani Jones's podcast, and he made a good point. He was basically just like, look, Harden's been like pretty out in the open. Like, he sees this Nets thing as like a 2-year, like, try to win a championship, be with KD, and then like we'll see where I go after that. Like, that's like that's why like just that within itself is just so not a Marks thing to do that I don't know. I just really don't see it. I think I would be very, very surprised if it happens. Look,
my problem is the unanimity. There we go. Of our Nets fan culture to want this to happen.
But this podcast started, me and you started because we wanted to tell it how it is and not and because net culture, especially in the Kyrie KD era, had gotten both very sensitive to criticism and also very self-promotional at the same time. And it's clear, and you can see it on Twitter, because on Twitter it's like if you criticize like Dinwiddie's defense, or if you criticize Kyrie's this or whatever, it's like it's the biggest deal on earth. And it's obvious that Nets fans have gotten a little sensitive in there. And look, I think some of it is them just reacting to the fact that they got the inferiority complex with the Knicks, which is what most Nets fans have. So I get it, but like,
and that's why I'm not sensitive to it. See, that like for me, being a converted fan, right?
Yep.
Like I couldn't root. I've always liked. I'm not even gonna front. I'm not even gonna lie. Since Kenny Anderson, who was like my high school hero, high school basketball hero, came to the Nets, I've always had like an eye over at the Nets, and I've never rooted against you guys. It just hurt my feelings that you guys, the Nets always had these cool teams, like even if they weren't that successful, like Petrovic, Kenny Anderson, Derek Coleman, and they had other like cool players besides that. And the Jason Kidd Nets is pretty obvious, but shoot, I even like those Mookie Blaylock teams. Like the Nets have had, whether even though they haven't competed at the highest level, they've always had little good teams. But I had to be a Knicks fan, right? But the thing that shocks me as a converted New York City basketball fan, being able to become a Brooklyn Nets fan because it is in my home. It just shocks me like this. Just inferiority complex, like, and it controls all of our decision making as a group. It's like, oh, I think they liked having Vince Carter not because of the winning, but because he would have us on SportsCenter all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as someone who didn't really enjoy going to those games, that 1,000%. I think Vince. I think Nets fans recall the Vince years way better than what they actually were, which was like they were fine. They were fine.
Right, and I just don't want to be that group of people to, like, there's people adding Jared. There's, like, I'll say something nice to Jared, because my housekeeper attended one of his events, and she got a $100 Key Food card, and she didn't understand that you can't. It wasn't just $100 card that you can go to any supermarket and buy something. You have to go specifically to Key Food. So we rode over to Key Food. She was able to do that, and there's a lot of people hurting, and that's amazing that this young dude is doing that in the city, and here's the craziest thing, which will come after, but when I'll say that, thanking him, because she's on WhatsApp, she's not on Twitter, there's no way for her to say thank you. I felt it was important for me to say thank you to him, but I'm saying thank you to him about nothing about basketball. And dickhead Nets fans will tweet at me like, yeah, but you're gonna be doing that in Houston now. What's wrong with you? The kid has given his all to this team.
Yep.
And he, like, people don't even stop and think about, like, the situation that he plays center for us when he has the worst every year of his life, of his NBA life. He has been paired with the worst front court partner in the NBA. And no offense to Joe Harris, but Joe Harris, being the small forward of his team, has not been helpful to getting help in the paint for Jared Allen, because there's nothing they can do to help him.
Yeah.
He's guarding the paint alone night after night after night. Fucking bitch ass Joel Embiid had to get cried and got Elton Brand to get the person who nullified him in the playoffs the year before. And nobody said nothing. Like, they really tried to play Al Horford and Embiid together, just because Embiid wanted more help for the physicality in the paint. And we as Nets fans have the nerve to be adding Jared Allen and telling him that he got to get up out of here so we could bring in James Harden? Are you out your fucking minds? That's cool. As a former Knicks fan, Knicks fans would never do that. They would never do that. Yes, they're delusional. Yes, some of them are the scum of the earth. Yes, but at least if you're one of them, you're one of them. And that's ugly to me.
Yeah, look.
And none of this. Here's the reality. If he's a shitty draft pick, which most people picked in the 20s are, or whatever, 18, whatever he was, but the lower half non-lottery picks are usually shitty players. But if he was a shitty player, how the hell as our starter have we made the playoffs? 2 of his 3 NBA career years. We're doing it, and he's doing it under the worst circumstances. And that's the thing national media doesn't even understand. It's like Jared Allen is playing center in a way that nobody before him has played center.
Yeah. And the other thing, by the way, that we should say is, like, whatever Marks does, he also has to he has to get it right, because I actually have liked a lot of the moves that a bunch